This episode I've actually been excited about doing for a while. I want to do it actually from the first time I got the items, but it took me some time to get to using them both to make sure that I knew enough where I can give you guys enough info. So with that, let's go ahead and dig into this episode. Saddle or tree stand? Which and why? So I'm going to get these sticks off of here, and then we're going to run through which and why and how I use each one, and we'll leave the stick episodes for another time. But go ahead, let me get this wrapped, or get these unwrapped and taken apart, and I'll be right back to break down each one. Alright, tree stand or saddle, or you even have a climber. Now, this is the question I get asked quite often. You know, if you've been on the channel, if you've been on the Instagram, you'll see we use both of these. You know, I'm not just a one set. I'm not a saddle hunter and I'm not a tree stand hunter. I use them both as great tools for different opportunities and different situations. So we'll go ahead and dig into the tree stand first. This I had the longest. This is the Lone Wolf 1.0. I got this before they came out with the 0.5 and 0.75 and 1.5 and all that. So when and why would I use a tree stand? So I usually go to tree stands more in the later season. You know, when the leaves are falling off the trees, it's a lot easier to take this stand and get in a tree. Now, if you follow this channel and you know what kind of hunter I am as a mobile hunter, I like finding trees that like split into V's, or two trees that go up next to each other. And the good thing about the tree stand with that is I can go ahead and set this up right into one of those creases, whether it's the Y or two trees is put together, and I'll try to get this to line up perfectly where that next tree splits up into a V, or the other tree going up right against it. So I can get in there, I can go from either one stick, no stick, 2 feet to 20 feet, and be sitting there. So when I stand up, the trees break up my silhouette. Now, why do I wait till late season with this? I just feel like, but we'll get into it more when we talk about the saddle, but I feel like there's a little less movement when you're in a tree stand. And like with the camera sitting right here on one side, the camera's always here on my right side. It's always going to be on my right side. I can maneuver it around to the left, maneuver to the right, get my shot angle, whatever it is. And I'm usually set where I just stand up and pull my bow, or I can shoot seated, grab my bow, draw here. And like I said, when I'm in those trees, it's V's and whatnot, it helps break up my silhouette so they don't see me moving as much. And I just feel like late season with this is it's easier to find trees to set up in with the tree stand. You can do it with the saddle and saddle platform, but we'll get into that more when we get to the saddle. Reasons why I don't use this in the early season is, again, when it's a lot of brush and foliage on the tree, sometimes you gotta do a lot of clearing to get this stand to set in there to where leaves and stuff not in the way. I'm able to get a shot over the top. As for with the saddle, I feel like we don't have to do that as much. We'll talk about that more when we get there. Another reason why I prefer the saddle, prefer this in late season, or don't mind using this in late season much for the saddle, is with this, it's not much heavier. The Lone Wolf is so light, but it takes a little bit more effort to hang. So when I'm hanging, I gotta sit there, hang it with two arms, and try to balance it. There's different ways to do it. I've seen a guy do one where he uses lineman's belt to keep it on the tree. But when it's early season, it's hot, you're trying to limit the maneuvers and movement and keep you from sweating as much as possible. And I find when I take this in the early season, I definitely get a lot of sweating, because when I'm in the tree trying to figure out how to set this and hang it, it's really a challenge. But as for everything else about it, like I said, it's light. I like the packability, you know, get it right there. I got my platform now, I can put my pack here, or if I kill one deep in the woods, I can pack them out here. They got the grinding holes on each side, so I can put my sticks. Again, we're get into that more detail when we talk about the stick comparisons. But there's a time and place for this and every other stand, even climbers. But so that's about it that we're gonna talk about the tree stand. And as we talk about the saddle, we'll come back and wrap up the pros and cons to each and why. Alright, so here we have the Lone Wolf Custom Gear Ambush Saddle Platform. Now, this isn't the only platform I use. This is my go-to platform, but I also have a couple Trophyline. But this Trophyline Onyx right here, I like this the best out of the other one. The Mission, it's a little smaller, a lot more sturdy with this little edge on the side. We've done an episode on that. If you go back and check the channel, I'll go ahead and put the link to that up here so you can click that. But as for saddle, this is my go-to. I already got this one. Excuse me, Cobra weave. Again, super light. I got my silence tape all around it, so I know if I throw my camera on the tree, it's not gonna make any sound. Now, like I mentioned with the 1.0, hanging that tree stand and trying to get it set, it's a lot harder because it gets to kicking and going left and right, and when you're tearing it, making sure it's straight and everything is even and everything else. As for this, it's a lot easier to do. Like I said, a lot less weight, a lot more circumference. So I'm climbing a tree, I'm hanging back on my lineman's belt, put one hand up, bring the cable around, hook it, cinch it tight, tear it up, push it down, get in, and do it again, secure it when I'm on the stand. But as we talked about also, how it's easier to hang it in the tree and without clearing out all the extra brush, to find a spot so it can sit, to make sure I got enough for the seat post to go all the way up, I got enough for the platform to come all the way out and ease down, so when I'm standing up and moving or whatever, the trees aren't moving underneath me if I'm on that spot, like just trying to smash it down. I can find one little pocket in trees. I literally only need that much room in between branches to set it, and this much room in between tree branches to get it in there as well, in the pocket. And once I get up there and get set, anything else little around me, I can clip with my shears just to make sure I got openings so I can swing around and move. Now, one thing I mentioned also is that in sitting, you can sit or stand and shoot. You can do the same thing with a saddle. And I originally started using saddle hunting when I messed my back up and it was during hunting season. And sitting tree stand killed my back. And I actually went on the Gators to try at the Great Adventure Outdoors show. And I was like, man, this is good on my back. So I reached out to my family at Lone Wolf Custom Gear. And they sent me an ambush to give it a try. I had to get a Trophyline harness, you know, the saddle, as you should say, to put the whole kit together. And hunting that whole season was pain-free on my back. So the reason why I think is when you sit in that saddle, when it's sitting underneath your butt cheeks and it's coming through here, it's taking all that weight off your lumbar. And the thing I love most about it, like I said in this, also I added the extra padding to the 1.0, so I'll be a little higher to make it easier to stand up. As for this with the saddle, I can just adjust my tether to where I want to be. I can be kind of like at a straight leg position and just lean back into it. I can be slightly bent, or I can be really bent and sit all the way down. But either way, when it's time to stand up, it takes just a little bit less movement for me, because in that, having such long femurs and legs, when I go to stand up, I have to rock and get forward. That right there, a little too much movement. Catch a deer's eyes. That's for when I'm in the saddle and I'm just sitting here long leg. It's literally just like I push back into the saddle, like into the tree, and I'll stand up, straight up. Pull my bow. My bow is right here against the tree in front of me. I grab it, hook to my D loop, get set. Whenever I'm ready to draw, pull with a little less motion, you know. I can tip my hips inside on everything I need to do. If I need to swing around the tree, I can swing around the tree. If I need to come back behind, put my knee, swing behind me and get the shot. So that is another reason why I love the saddle. Because again, early season, all the foliage around me, I can be on the edge of a tree and not have to be so much in that V tree that breaks up my silhouette. And when I'm swinging and spinning and maneuvering around the tree with all the leaves around me, with the proper camo or the proper color clothes, don't have to be camo, solid clothes, as I'm maneuvering and stuff, it kind of blends me in with that tree. The deer might look up and see that movement for a little bit, but it's hard to figure out what it is, and they'll sit still for a while, figure it out. When they can't figure it out, they eventually keep on moving on. And that's why in the last few years I've gone to this. beginning of the year all the way till all the leaves start falling off. Once the leaves start falling off, I'll switch to the 1.0. Main reason why in that, because again, when I'm sitting here in the tree, now I'm coming off the tree a little more, not in a V usually. I need to get more shot angles. I need to be able to get around and shoot this way, spin around and do that. If it's a V or a tree branch behind or another tree behind, I can't swing and shoot backwards. It's hard to swing all the way around because I'm tight in there. That's with the tree stand, I can stand up and turn and spin and do all that extra stuff. Now we talked about why I use each one and when I use them and why. Now we're going to go over more of the pros and cons of why. Now since we just finished the platform, or the saddle platform, we're going to talk about that. Now the main reason I use this mainly in early season, because with all the foliage it's a lot easier, like I said, get a spot in there in between all the foliage and keep covered up and don't need much room to get the stand. Now make my little snips, it's easier to maneuver left, right, spin around with no tree behind me to get a shot behind me, spin on the tree if it's this way, and with that movement, the foliage covers me up. Now in the late season when all that foliage falls, all that movement now I'm just out in the wide open to where every little wind breeze and a branch move, a deer look up, it's pretty easy for them to spot you 9 times out of 10 if you're on the edge of a tree like I hunt with my saddle. Now you can get high enough and find trees that are still good, or pine trees or whatever, and where you're still covered well if you clear out enough branches and whatnot where you can get your shot. But my biggest thing being a self-filmer, where I get caught a lot, even when I'm in a good tree, there's not much foliage around, is with the saddle. So the tree, the camera is, you can even sit here, set on one side, but when you have it out, it's on the side of the camera or side of the tree. So now if that deer is supposed to go down this trail, but it goes on this one, in order for you to get it all the way around, you gotta swing that camera and that big old swing around. Even when I move slow, deer catch that movement from something going from here to over here, however slow it is. And then on top of that, I gotta move my bow around the camera now. And after all that movement, if you're not super duper slow the whole time, you're gonna get busted at some point, especially when I'm hunting in Jersey and it's an overpopulated area and a bunch of deer come in. It might be one deer here they don't see, but it might be another deer on somewhere else that sees me and blows and alert all the deer in the woods and they're all going. Now, as for the 1.0, the tree stand, when I'm sitting in that, I'm like I said, I'm usually in a tree that's a V or a Y or 2 trees that go up, so I'm sitting there. So when it's time when deer come out, I kind of lean up against that tree and push myself up, and the camera arm is usually on that V that's going out or the other tree going straight up, and I can just make that camera maneuver around it and point, or I can bring it back through that window still and have space, so when I grab my bow, I don't have to maneuver around to draw. I can have it set out far enough from on the other tree, and I'm sitting back on this one. I can still draw, or I can get the bow through the 2 trees and draw on this side where it is. But I don't have to have that extra maneuver to get around the camera and find a place to draw, because I usually have the camera arm on another tree. Now, if I do have to put it on the same tree as me, again, it's still the same situation because the camera arm is behind me. So if it's on this side, if it's shot on this side, I sit up and push the camera from behind me and bring it out. And again, now my bow is in front of me, so either way I draw this way or I draw this way. Only way I will have a situation is if I have to turn and shoot behind me, but I will put the camera on this side of the tree and then draw from the other way. So now another pro and con, we talked about that, would be, like I said, with the saddle. I got the little platform, but I can go ahead and shoot 360 all the way around. You hear it all the time, but it's pretty true. Once you figure out how to anchor your knee and set your feet, you can swing all the way around that tree and get your shot all the way on that far side, or you can take the bow and put it on this side and shoot right over your tether and shoot with the tree on this side of you. If the shot's behind you, put your knee and maneuver all the way around and shoot this way. If it's behind you on this side, you can put it or go underneath the rope, put your back to the tree and shoot that way. As for with the tree stand, you can shoot behind you, but it takes a lot more movement. You gotta turn and straddle your seat and get up against the tree and shoot. I can get a shot over here, but there's a tree in front of me. Like I said, I like to hunt with the tree in front. It's hard to get that shot right there. I can try to lean out and get that shot, but it's not as smooth as with the saddle. I'm connected to this tree, knee here, tree that way, and push myself off so I can still get my hip bend and make sure my shot is clean and smooth. Other things I like is, like I said, I like the Lone Wolf custom gear because of packability. But when it comes to the saddle, it's a lot more streamlined and flat the way I set it up. But we'll get into that more. We'll get into the stick conversation. Yeah, so just a lot less circumference on my back. The saddle is small enough inside my back. I got a big wide back, so it's probably sitting like right in here on me. So I'm walking through the woods, it's not getting caught on anything. As for the Lone Wolf 1.0, it's probably just the same size as me, but low is kind of a little wider and catch brush there that way. Climbing the tree, a lot less weight on my back, with just, even though it doesn't weigh much here, but like I said, early season when it's hot, that little lightweight hanging and setting and taking it off is always a lot easier. Tearing down is a lot easier. I'm here in my lineman's belt, click it, unhook it, swing it, put it on my back, finish the climb, take each stick off. This is still easy, but just not as easy as this small platform. But yeah, all in all, guys, the perfect answer to your question, which tree stand do I use? It depends on how are you going to be hunting. Are you going to be planning to go deep into some thick stuff? You don't want to get caught up a lot? The saddle might be best for you. If you don't mind going through there with a little extra weight and you want to be sitting and feel more secure, you probably feel more secure in the tree stand. But to be honest, I feel some more secure in this saddle, because if I'm dozing off and fall, I'm already got tension on my saddle to the point where I'm not going to fall and get jerked. As for when I'm in the tree stand, I'm sitting up there with my lines a little loose, and when I go to doze and it pull and catch, it kind of startles you. There's just a lot of pros and cons to it, but one thing I'll tell you right now is both of these is way better than the Climber. You know, we all started with the Climber. I started with the Climber, had the Viper Summit. I started with it, and it was cool to go up, but with that, you have to have a straight up tree, clear all the way up to about 15, 20 feet, however high you want to go. That's one of these, you can maneuver around branches, you can put your sticks different ways, you can set it in the tree, because they got these eyes, these cam eyes right here. You can set it's just one cam being in a tree. If it's a tree that go crooked like this, I get this on there and it's one catch and it's going to be rock solid. You're not going anywhere. As for a Climber, the tree has to be straight up and down with no branches. It has to be set perfect for you to get the shot. But other than that, guys, that's my 2 cents on what I think is the best and why I use each stand, each saddle, each platform from each situation. And with that being said, guys, as always, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for helping us reach 5,000. We already did that giveaway. It'll be another giveaway coming soon. Just got to get caught up on episodes and do some other stuff, and then we'll announce that as soon as we can. Other than that, we're going to sign out as always. Love, peace, Afro Grease. Peace.